Hello and welcome back. So we are transitioning from understanding multimodal AI to dealing with agents. And this session is very crucial in terms of understanding the intuition for AI agents. So I'm going to define what is an AI agent and then help you map some of the attributes of an AI agent with that of typical employee or a knowledge worker. So let's get started. So let me start by defining what is an AI agent. So an agent is an autonomous software entity that perceives its environment, makes decisions, and takes actions to achieve specific goals. The keywords here are the perception of the environment, making dynamic decisions, and performing actions to accomplish a specific goal. So this is fundamentally different from writing a program that just consumes an LLM or a multimodal AI to generate text or to respond to some questions. Instead, an agent is designed to take advantage of the underlying LLM, but to perform a dynamic action based on the goal that is handed over to it. So to understand this better, let's take a closer look at the attributes. First of all, the agent is powered by a multimodal AI model like Gemini or GPT-4o. And based on that, it's going to perform dynamic decision making. So unlike traditional workflows or traditional programs that are based on if-then condition, an agent can perform decisions dynamically and even can change the course of action based on the context and inputs. It can interact with the environment, interact with the user, and change its course based on the inputs that it is getting. And the second important building block of an agent is memory. So memory has multiple flavors. One could be short-term memory that is used by agent as a scratchpad. The second is long-term memory, which is storing the summaries of conversations and context that it can retrieve when you are restarting a conversation. And then, of course, it does reasoning. So when we dealt with Gemini, we have seen the models can think. So we will enable thinking for the agent by giving it the power of reasoning, which is obviously based on the underlying model. So this is directly proportional to the capability or the power of reasoning depending on the model or the underlying model that is powering this agent. And finally, it doesn't just tell us what needs to be done, but an agent can go ahead and execute the chosen response and close the loop. So it performs the action, the last mile action. So that is basically an agent. So an agent is powered by a powerful multimodal AI model, can make dynamic decisions, has memory, it can perform reasoning, and it can implement or perform actions based on the dynamic input or the dynamic environment that it is able to perceive. So to understand this better, let's take a look at the mapping between a typical knowledge worker and an agent, which can potentially replace the knowledge worker to perform a specific task. So when you are working in an organization and when you are about to hire an individual, you need to come out with the job title. And when it comes to an agent, it is translated into the persona of the agent. For example, when you are writing a job description to hire a customer support engineer, you will actually say the title is customer support engineer. Whereas when you are defining an agent, an AI agent, you will create a persona that says you are a customer support engineer tasked to perform a specific action. So when there is a job title for a human or a knowledge worker, it typically maps to a persona of the agent. Then there is a job description. Now this job description is the overall summary of what is expected from this title. Now imagine in a typical job description or in a typical job portal, there is description of the role. And this defines what is expected from this job title and how the individual is expected to deliver on those. What are the high-level goals for this job title? That translates to an instruction. For example, in customer support scenario, you will write the job description as support customers through the call center and access to various internal tools, and you are responsible for maintaining high customer satisfaction. So you will write the entire job description, which is going to help understand what is the ultimate goal of this job. Now, similarly, when you are creating an AI agent, you will write instructions that will help the agent perform the ultimate job. So here you will mention instructions like greet customers with empathy and start with whatever is the next step. So that is basically the instruction. And then there is the job function. Think of job function as the day-to-day task of the customer support engineer or any other title that you are hiring for. So that typically translates to a task. A persona and instruction are defined once, but the task can get modified for every session. Similar to how a customer support engineer comes out with a new goal or a new task for the day, the AI agent will also have a task while keeping the persona and instruction as the same. Now, in terms of a customer support scenario, you will actually have the customer support engineer carry a goal or a specific metric that says resolve X number of techniques while maintaining a customer satisfaction level of 4.5 out of 5. Now, this is a day-to-day job and a specific task. So here you will translate that into a task for the AI agent. Resolve each task using certain tools and using certain techniques. So here the task is actually the ticket which the agent has to resolve. And then to perform the job successfully, the customer support engineer needs to have a strategy. Now, how do I perform my job better? How do I become more productive? How do I handle more number of tickets while maintaining better customer satisfaction? So he's going to have a plan of action, and he will apply his own creativity and productivity style to accomplish that. That is the strategy. Whereas when it comes to an AI agent, it is typically based on the reasoning delegated to the underlying model. So the model is responsible for breaking down the large task into multiple subtasks and performing each task and then consolidating the output. So basically, this is how the agent will execute a specific task. It is the plan of action for the agent, which is driven by the underlying model. And then in order to perform the job better, the customer support engineer or a knowledge worker needs to have historical context, like how his predecessor performed a specific task, or what is the history of the customer interaction, or what are the available conversations that are similar. So all of that are available through historical context and typically stored in systems like CRM and ticket management. So every time the customer support engineer picks up the call, he'll say, can I have your customer ID or ticket ID? And then he will look up the CRM or the ticket management system to retrieve the context. Now, when it comes to AI agent, it also maintains historical context through flavors of memory: short-term memory, long-term memory, and episodic memory. We'll take a closer look at each of those and even implement them in the upcoming sessions with ADK. And to be productive and effective at the job, of course, the knowledge worker needs to have some skills. And these skills are using appropriate software tools or appropriate productivity tools. For example, every time the knowledge worker has a certain query or when in doubt, he will always refer to standard operating procedure, documentation, existing run books, and knowledge bases. Now, this could be Confluent pages, or this could be run books that are already available, documentation of the software that he's trying to use, and standard operating procedure that basically defines how a specific task needs to be completed. Now, the equivalent of that for the AI agent is implementing retrieval augmented generation to retrieve knowledge bases and context, and then the functions which are connecting the AI agent to a variety of tools. For example, the wiki page can be retrieved using a function, while the customer history can be retrieved using a RAG technique. So that is basically how you will empower an AI agent through tools which will map to the skills of a knowledge worker. And finally, as the knowledge worker gains more understanding and better knowledge of the organization and the job, he gets promoted and he will become a team leader and he will have to collaborate and manage people. Similarly, an agent can have human in the loop where it can perform delegation, or it can have sub agents to perform specific tasks. So in that case, we are basically promoting an AI agent to take advantage of sub agents to accomplish the task, and it typically maintains a hierarchy, just like how a promoted knowledge worker as a team leader would perform. So these are a variety of attributes of AI agents that are mapped to the job function, the title, and the techniques that are derived by a human knowledge worker. So I hope you found this intuition useful. In the upcoming sessions, we are going to translate all these concepts into implementation by using ADK and some of the capabilities of Google Agent Developer Kit. Stay tuned.